Hey everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of our soul searching part of our Korea travel series. I hope you have had fun along the series so far, and this is the finale video of the entire series. This video is split up into 2 parts. The first part will take you through our last 3 days in Seoul, what we did, where we went, what we ate, what we experienced. And part 2 will be me sharing some general tips and tricks as well as where we stayed, what I'd recommend you to do, Wi-Fi, traveling, public transport, so on and so forth. If you'd like to go to that part of the video, please go to this timestamp. But if not, here's our last 3 days in Seoul. On our third last day in Seoul, we decided to visit Nami Island, which is 1 hour away from Seoul via train. We are here at beautiful Gapyeong where it's no longer raining. Walking to meet up with our friends at the other. Then we're gonna walk and take the ferry to Nami. Walking to the ferry. And the ferry is really beautiful. It's embellished with flags from all around the world. And you can get to Nami either via ferry like we did or zip lining, and it looks really cool. The actual ferry ride is very scenic with hills and lush greens. And after the 10-minute ride, we were here, and it was quite crowded, quite packed because it was a public holiday that day. It's actually super pretty here at Nami with lots of trees and natural decor, and the open ground was super pretty to take pictures inside of it or to stroll around and have a nice little walk. There are also a lot of expansive gardens and fountains, and you can really feel the outdoorsy vibe and the fact that you're not in the city anymore. And overall, the place has like a forest vibe with the thin trunks and the tall trees, and there's many scenic spots that you can take photos at, such as this lily pad pond that we found. She's blowing, you're flapping, I'm filming, Mitch is mitching. We were like children at the park for the first time, being so obsessed and excited with the bubbles. We also ate at our duck's friends at this really glorious duck barbecue. Look at that meat, it looks so good. Then we walked up Yeouido to admire the view around us. And I really love the look of the leaves there. There's so many different shades of green, and they even have fluorescent green. Look at that, it's such a treat to the eyes. It felt like a natural abode of its own, a wonderland. What the hell is this? We also saw a lot of pretty flowers of different colors, and then soon it was time to head back on the ferry back to Gapyeong. And I really enjoyed my day trip there. Waiting for the bus right now. Namsan Tower for a sunset little thing. Next up on our list of Seoul Pass activities was the Namsan Tower Observatory. And the observatory lift is located on level 5 of the building, and already the view from there and even just from the ground of the tower is magnificent. You can see the entirety of Seoul. And we were there around sunset, so it looked legitimately super pretty, but we had free entry to the observatory. We had free entry to the observation deck as part of Seoul Pass, so we booked our time slot and we headed up over 1,000 meters above sea level. Can you believe that? That was great. The view from the observatory is absolutely amazing. You can have unprecedented 360-degree views of Seoul, and of course it's much better in person compared to on camera. I definitely recommend visiting this place. It's wonderful. We ended off our night by visiting Lotte Mart, the Seoul Station branch, and we shopped for a lot of snacks, souvenirs to bring back, and let me show you what I got. So this I got from the Lotte Mart. You probably have seen these a lot around. These are the Ghana brand, Lotte brand Ghana mild chocolate. And another thing I got from Lotte Mart are these. These are the 72% Dream Cacao little chocolate pastilles, capsules, things from the brand Lotte as well. I first saw these in a drama. Oh, sorry. For you, treat. The rest are mine. Oh, sorry. On day 2 of our Seoul Pass, we headed over to the ever-famous Lotte World. Warning! Do not spit shit in the air for the balloon ride. This is our ride, it's here! This first hot air balloon ride in the indoor portion of the park gives you a bird's eye aerial view of the whole indoor park. You can scope out which rides you want to go on, which is nice. But the only qualm was that the ride was very slow, and halfway through I was already kind of bored. But overall, a pretty safe choice, especially for children. After that ride, we stopped by for some cute cotton candy which tasted just like childhood. We also sat on this pirate ship, and boy, the swing is much higher than you actually think it is on camera. We then headed to the outdoor portion of the park, which honestly gave me kind of Disney meets Universal Studios kind of vibe. The overall theming is quite kiddish, I would say, which is nice. I felt a little bit old, but maybe Rucha from 10 years ago would have loved it. On this chair swing ride, and it was easy, but it made me dizzy. I also went on this bungee drop ride, and I was so nervous for it, and the drop feels like your stomach is inside of your throat. We also rode Atlantis, which was by far my favorite ride in the entire park. Not gonna lie, I talk a big game. I'm a little stressed, just a little stressed. Sauna. Yay, goodbye Lotte. Thank you for the fun day. After grabbing a bite, we saw a really pretty sunset in our taxi on the way to our next location, where we were gonna see more of the sunset. Oh my god, this is beautiful. It's so at the gorgeous Hangang River Park. Right in front of you is Han River, and our Eland cruise terminal is right. So we're here today at the Eland cruise terminal. You can see the financial district at the back over there, all the buildings. This really cute decor. This is the cruise docking area that we're taking a cruise from, the Moonlight music cruise. After booking our tickets, we were off to board our Eland Moonlight music cruise. This is also part of our Seoul Pass activities. This cruise brings you eastward on the Han River towards Banpo Bridge from Yeouido, and there are buildings surrounding both sides of our cruise, plus a lot of pretty bridges, which I was weirdly quite intrigued with. Enjoy the cinematic shot of the Banpo Bridge rainbow fountain light show thing. This show lasted for 15 minutes, but I shortened it to show you guys. And we were really lucky to catch this during our time slot, because the earlier time slot of this cruise doesn't align with the timings of this fountain show. And the colors were really pretty and reflective on the water. So overall, really super pretty to see.
This stop is Wangsimni. The doors are on your right. You can transfer the line number 2.
The next day, we visited Hanyang University's campus to visit our fellow Korean uni students and to see how uni life is like in Korea. And a lot of students, they were actually heading for classes, so we got to see different faculties, different buildings. The architecture really is quite beautiful. It's more European leaning than I expected, but I pretty much welcomed it. Near the uni, there's a gallery-themed cafe called Sumsei Terrarium that we reserved to go to actually from Singapore. Main exhibits in the cafe are meant to reconnect you with nature in the hustle and the bustle of the city. Then comes the Water of Dawn, where it's cooling and calming as your feet touch the water, the soft clay, and you can also feel the mist on your face in the dark room. Honestly, quite surreal. I enjoyed the experience. Next is the Heart of Wind, where you can walk on water beds and feel wind graze you and also see plants flowing along with the same wind. The Sumsei Forest, which is also an exhibit, felt more like a cafe with no tables and chairs. It resembled a forest with twines and greens everywhere and stones for you to sit on, almost like a fairy tale set. Like, you know, Tinkerbell could be shot there. The gallery viewing came with a free tea of your choice and a biscuit. Camellia flavored tea. This little dried orange potpourri looking thing tastes so good. The last exhibit is the Refresh 5 Senses one, where you enter natural sunlight, aka the building's rooftop, and the wood decor felt quite livening and gave a fresh feel. I've never been to something like this before. The concept is pretty cool and it's something I would like to see come to Singapore. We then ate some lunch. This is Japanese dongatsu and the batter was light and fluffy and it was a decadent meal. I really enjoyed it. Our last stop of the day was Seoul Forest. It felt more like a park than a forest really, with fluorescent green trees, flowers everywhere the eye can see. And it's been a while since I've seen this many flowers all at once, so it was super refreshing to see all the different colors. Everyone around us was admiring the flower display too, and it truly felt like an end to spring. And the forest itself is quite big, with small themed gardens and paths for long walks, so it was overall a nice natural escape, which is located smack within the city, almost like Seoul's Central Park, but smaller. Last meal in Korea, we had to eat something traditional, so we settled on trying original and garlic Jokbal. We literally ate this at 1 AM for supper, but the meat had a good bite and the noodles and banchan given suited it quite well, and it was a wonderful meal to end our trip. And that finishes off my 2-week trip in Korea. I've had a wonderful time traveling with my friends, and before I end the video, I would like to share some general tips and tricks when you're traveling in South Korea. So the first step to travel to South Korea is actually getting to South Korea. I took Scoot, which is a budget low-cost airline, a subsidiary of Singapore Airlines, to go to Korea, to Seoul in Incheon. Majority of the flights to Seoul and Busan and Jeju from Singapore all in the night. To travel to Busan from Seoul, you can either fly or take an express train called a KTX, which we did. Let's go. We are now leaving. It is time. And in order to take a KTX from Seoul Station, you need to get from Incheon Airport to Seoul Station, and that can easily be done using an AREX train, which stands for Airport Railroad Express, I think. Traveling to Jeju is pretty simple via flight, even though you also can take a ferry if you are a fan of the scenic sea route. We opted to fly, and even though Jeju Air itself is quite good, the flight's website is slightly buggy, so just watch out for that when you're booking. In terms of directions and getting around, everyone has said this and I will also say this. Please use Naver Maps, do not use Google Maps. And in both Seoul and Busan, there are pretty much established bus and train lines that you can see through Naver, and Naver will tell you the best route, shortest route, the route with the fewest amount of walking minutes. For public transport, the easiest thing you can do is get a T-Money card. It is very simple to use. It's available at a lot of convenience stores. It actually lasts forever, but the balance expires every 5 years after you top it up. But despite how easy it is, I do have 3 travel tips for you when using public transport in Korea. Number 1, be prepared to climb a lot of stairs, especially at train stations. You have it sometimes within the train station, but it's quite rare. About 80% of the time we climb stairs. Number 2, there isn't any real information counter at most of the train stations in Seoul, at least from what we saw. So if you are stuck and if you need help, please ask locals or ask someone around you and they will direct you accordingly. For number 3, make sure that you tap into the correct gantry, because a lot of stations have the thing where they have one gantry for one particular direction and another gantry for another particular direction. And if you get the direction wrong, no interval or a section for you to cross over to the other side without tapping out of the wrong gantry into the correct gantry, and you get charged twice. We experienced this several times, so I cannot stress this enough. Make sure you bought the correct gantry. In both Busan and Seoul, between the roads, they have a middle lane where that's only situated and reserved for buses, which I find cool because you don't obstruct the sides of the road, you instead direct traffic towards the middle. For Jeju, even though public transport is available, like I mentioned in my Jeju video, distance between places are pretty long and the intervals between buses are also slow. So it's better if you take a private hire car or go around by taxi. But nevertheless, in all three cities that we went to, Kakao Taxi also is another useful app that you can download, and taxis are pretty convenient and easy to find. The drivers speak a variable amount of English and Korean, so I guess it's up to you and your luck. But you can pay pretty conveniently. You can pay with cash, you can pay with card, and they accept overseas cards as well. So now about accommodations. Starting off in Busan, we stayed in an apartment Airbnb, and the apartment itself is really big, really roomy, spacious, really comfortable for 5 people to stay in. And we have a dining area and a TV and a sofa. And this is bedroom number 1. Ooh, massage chair, I'm stealing that. Kitchenette, fridge, glasses, toilet. And this is bedroom number 2. Cozy. But the only issue I really had with the whole apartment is that the ventilation issue was quite bad to deal with. Every time we came back from traveling for the night, the air was pretty stale and we had to find our own inventive, creative, unique ways to air out the place. But yeah, overall I found the apartment to be pretty nice. Everything was really roomy and they had a lot of amenities such as a washing machine, your own kitchenette, which proved really useful in the morning, especially when we wanted to make breakfast. Our next accommodation in Jeju was a hotel, and we stayed in the Harbour 39 Hotel in the Sogipo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, area, because a lot of the attractions we wanted to see was in the southern part of the island compared to up north where the airport and Jeju City is. And the hotel itself was fine. There were 2 queen-size beds, and I really love how the toilet was arranged, as you will now see in this clip. And on one side here we have the toilet, and on the other side we have the very sus shower. But the one issue I realized was the service. The service desk on the ground floor said that there was going to be no one at the desk from 8 p.m. to a certain time next morning, and there would be an automated machine that you can speak to, look into the camera, and someone would respond to us and help us. The overall mountain view that we were promised for the room was there, definitely, but it was a little more lackluster than I thought. Our next accommodation was an Airbnb in Seoul in the area of Myeongdong. We were not actually that close to Myeongdong station, we were closer to Jonggak station, and the neighborhood that we were staying in, I have a comment on it. It was really pretty, really buzzing, so I thought that aspect of the neighborhood was pretty nice. And the room that we got in Seoul was probably the smallest room out of all 3 accommodations we stayed in. But the best thing about that accommodation definitely was the design of the room. It was like it came out of Cupid's music video. It was all pink, perfect for a Barbie out there that like to come here with a Ken or with a group of friends. And the accommodation starts on level 4. Reception is at level 4, we were at level 5, and they had other amenities or kitchen on level 6. So the kitchen consisted of a washer and dryer, as well as microwave, electric kettle, amongst other things. And our level that we were staying at, level 5, had a shoe rack, trash bins, a water cooler. But see, overall it felt like a hostel because whenever we were doing laundry, we were dragging our luggage up 1 floor and down 1 floor once they were done. One tip I wanted to give you guys about attractions in Seoul is this thing called a Discover Seoul Pass, and this is what it looks like. The Seoul Pass itself is a card that you can get physically or digitally, and it is applicable for a certain designated amount of time. So our Discover Seoul Pass was for 48 hours, and the destinations that we covered was the Nami Island ferry fee and entrance fee, the Namsan Tower entrance fee for the Observatory, Lotte World ticket without the folk museum, just Lotte World on its own, as well as the Hangang Moonlight music cruise from the Eland cruise. So the total amount would have come up to over 121,000 won, but because we used the Seoul Pass, that cost us only $49.45 Singapore dollars. One little thing I wanted to fan over are the Korean convenience stores. Please, GS25, see you, come to Singapore. GS25, see you were my favorites over there. And convenience stores in Korea are super easy. We had them for numerous breakfast, supper, and even for a meal sometimes, because they are very convenient, easy to access, located on every single street. And what's best is that they're open for 24 hours. I love Korean convenience stores. Please come to Singapore. I need to drink my banana uyu in peace, because if not, then I will start counting things in banana. Okay, I feel like a little ajuma now. Okay, 3 last tips before I leave you guys. Number 1, learn the language. Learn a little bit of Korean. At least some conversational Korean is always good, and the locals there really like it when you speak the language. Number 2, there are self-service bars within restaurants that sometimes the staff won't tell you about, so you have to be kind of mindful that there's places for you to get your own cutlery, your own side condiments, your own soup, especially at breakfast places. So just be mindful of that and look around you. Don't ask the staff for everything. That's number 2. Number 3 is Papago, another useful app that I personally did not download, but my friends had, so it was very useful. When everything is in Korean, like a menu for instance, or a road sign, or a sign that you need to read, use Papago, pretty good translator app. And that is all I have for you on Korea. Overall, I had a wonderful trip with my friends. I will definitely be back again. Definitely. I'll be starting work soon as a fresh graduate, so before that I will be going back to more museums, so my free museum little series will continue. But either way, I will be back. See you again next time. Bye!